Hey you guys, welcome back to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. My name is Kelsey if you're new here. Today we're working in the kitchen and we've got a lot of stuff to do. Let me show you what we're working with. So I have 4 of these lovely half bushel bags of apples that have honestly been sitting in my kitchen for longer than I'd care to admit. It is high time that I get to processing them. I have the time today, so we're gonna get it done. Things have just been really busy. Ooh, and there are some that aren't looking so hot, so it's a good thing we're getting to them today. I am not 100% certain what I'm going to be making with them. I know I definitely want apple pie filling and applesauce, and I have a few other ideas as well. But I'm just gonna figure that out as we go, so let's just get started. We've got a lot of peeling and coring and slicing to do. The first thing we are going to do, don't mind my messy house in the background. The first thing we are going to do is, oh, I think I have a buddy that needs to come with. Hold please.
Yeah.
Are you gonna help me?
Yeah.
You're gonna help? That's so kind. Okay, so what I was saying, here we gotta turn on the light, hold on. Okay, what I was saying, I need to go check and see like inventory, how many jars of applesauce and apple butter, woo, bright light, that we have left. And I think I might even have some pie filling left. So I'm gonna take a quick inventory and then it'll better help me decide what I'm making today. All right, in the pantry, it looks like I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jars of apple butter. I have about the same here of applesauce. What are you doing? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of apple pie filling. Although, lesson learned, I used a variety that didn't hold up very well. They're a little bit on the softer side, so that's why I got the Granny Smith this year to can my apple pie filling. So this might just be turned into applesauce because when I pour it out, it pretty much just turns to mush. So I'm going to take this information and we're gonna decide what we're making. What'd you find?
Heavy.
It's heavy. Did you find coconut water?
Mama.
Yeah, he loves coconut water. You found some in the pantry, so do you want to open it? Open, okay. All right, coconut water break and then we'll get to work. Let's begin. So I'm gonna save the Granny Smith apples for the pie filling. I might mix in some leftovers with that as well, just for different flavor profile. But I'm working with the McIntosh, Jonagold, and Cortland for the apple butter and the applesauce. So I have, you can see back there, the roaster, that's gonna be for the applesauce. And then if I spin the camera this way over there, I've got a crock pot and that's what I'm gonna use. You need more again. More coconut water. The crock pot is where the apple butter is going to go. Can I have your cup?
No.
Yeah, I will get you more. Hold please. Anyways, the crock pot is for the apple butter. I'm gonna get started on that first because that's gonna have to go pretty much all day until it cooks down into the consistency that we want. I've got my handy dandy little suction-y apple peeler core slicer. This gadget here, I'll link in the description below. It's pretty primitive compared to some models that are out there, but I'm all about simple, and I like things that, if need be, don't use electricity. So we're gonna have a bowl for all of the scraps. I might make some apple cider vinegar from some of the scraps. And I don't think I'm gonna make any like apple core jelly or anything like that. I think they're all just gonna go to the chickens. You know what? I don't have the core attachment on here. I have no clue where it is. Bad news. I've scoured the place and I cannot find it. So, looks like we're just gonna be peeling today. And I'm gonna be going with the good old-fashioned apple core slicer. And I also have another one of those that has more like segments. Like this one only has 8. The other one I have is 12, which would be better for breaking down apples for applesauce. Yeah, don't know where anything is. Does anybody else have this happen? Like things just go missing? I'm just gonna blame it on my kids. If you have any guesses for how long this is going to take me to do, drop them in the comments below. I'm gonna say 2 hours, but I'll report back. Okay, let's be real. It took me like half the day. 2 hours would have been a miracle to complete this task. On my own with no interruptions, sure, definitely doable. I always forget how much slower things go when you have little hands that like to help and frequent interruptions. I welcome them and I welcome their help and I want them to learn and be a part of what I'm doing. Memories were made, but it is always a bit of a shocker when I look at the clock and see how much time has passed and how little work has been accomplished. But I'll take the slower pace and savor the moments when they are still tiny and curious. We all know how fast they grow. Okay, so I have 16 apples in my slow cooker. That is enough for one batch. And that should, once it's reduced down, make about 6 of like those small jelly jars of apple butter. So it's gonna cook for an hour. I'm gonna come back and puree it and then add in my sweeteners and, sorry, I hear crashing in the other room. I think it's just Legos. Come back, add my sweeteners, spices, flavorings, all that jazz. And then it's probably gonna cook overnight until it gets down to the apple butter consistency, and then we'll work on canning it tomorrow. I forgot to add my lemon juice. As per the ball recipe book, it says about 1/4 cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in there. Get my lid back on, and it's cooking on high for 1 hour. All right, so I have my roaster pan filled to the brim with apples, and it seems like I've hardly made a dent in what's on the table, so I am hoping these are gonna cook down a lot and then I can keep adding more apples. I am just going to add a little bit of water to keep them from sticking, burning the bottom until they start producing their own juices. So I'm just gonna get this turned on, throw the lid on, and we'll check it maybe in like half an hour, stir it, and then just let it go for a while. In the ball book, there is an apple butter recipe. It's kind of like a make your own, and they have different options for what you can add. It calls for 3/4 cup of a liquid, 1 cup of sweetener, and then any spices or flavorings to your liking. So for my liquid, I chose orange juice. I used maple syrup for my sweetener, and then my spices I added were vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and cardamom. Definitely go easy on the spices. Once everything cooks down and all the flavors mesh together, it definitely intensifies. So you can always add more after it's cooked down, but you can't take it away. Okay, you guys, it's the next morning. I ran out of time yesterday. We had plans last night, so everything got put on hold. It took a lot longer for things to cook down than I had figured, and I didn't let the apple butter go all night. It was getting there, and I was afraid if I left it go all night, it would have dried out too much. So I have that back on this morning. It should be ready in about an hour. Our applesauce is definitely ready to get in the canner. I have added lemon juice to make sure the acidity is correct. And I'm gonna taste it and see if I want to add any sweetener. Sweetener is optional. And I have a few different varieties of apples in here that have like varied amounts of tartness, so I may or may not add sugar. But I'm gonna get all of this put into my canning jars and into the canner, and then while I'm waiting for the apple butter to finish, I am going to start on my apple pie filling. And just to address this now, because I'm sure someone is going to see it and mention it, the mark here is from cupping. I get cupping done on my back every 2 weeks. It leaves marks for a few days. That's all it is. Okay, I have all of my canning jars washed and ready to go. They're warm, my applesauce is warm, and my canner, the water is warm. You want to keep everything around the same temperature to avoid any sort of temperature shock on your jars. That's a sad day. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with the canning today. I will link a video that I did previously on canning basics that you are welcome to go and watch if you want to see things in more detail. I'm just going to hurry on through this and get all of my jars filled and into the canner so I can move on to the next thing. Canning is a long process and it's a lot of work. I've been asked many times, is it really worth it? And to be completely honest, sometimes I even question myself, especially when I have these big projects going, the house is a disaster and the kids are running wild, and I remind myself of these things. Number one, I know what is going into these jars. I know where the food is sourced from. It's good for my family. Today when you go to the store and you look at the ingredient list, most of the things, I got no clue what they are and I don't even know how to pronounce them. I don't want that for my family. I want good, simple, whole foods going into and nourishing our bodies. Now, number two, I believe it's part of my job as a stay-at-home mom, a homemaker, to save my family money in whatever way I can. And canning is a way that I do that. Anytime I find something in bulk at a great price, I go ahead and grab it and can it up. I spent a total of $36 on these 2 bushels of apples, most of them organic. There's no way that I could buy the same amount of finished product at the store for that price. Also, inflation is happening right now, and you can really get ahead of it by canning. Canned foods are also shelf stable and save on freezer space and energy consumption. Lastly, we don't really consider ourselves preppers by any means, but we do believe in the wisdom of being prepared and having a stock pantry for anything that life can throw at you. We have very limited control over our circumstances, and canning is a way that I make sure my family is prepared food-wise for whatever comes at us in a way that is financially attainable, it tastes good, it's healthy, and it's shelf stable. Those are my biggest whys. So my own filling, my own pie filling recipe just calls for flour, spices, and your apple slices. I do practice, for the most part, safe canning. I'd say I veer towards of safe canning. So the only recipes that I have found either call for clear gel or you can do just like apple slices in water, spiced. And I've done that, and I personally think it's terrible for a pie filling. They don't, like the slices don't keep their shape or their crispness, even if you use a harder apple, a firmer apple. And honestly, all of that just got made into applesauce because it was mush. So I tried last year the ball recipe for apple pie filling with clear gel. And I was afraid that we were all not going to like that. I thought it was going to be like your store-bought canned pie filling where you just got all that gel and very little apples. And honestly, it's not like that. It's quite tasty. We all really enjoy it. So that's what I'm sticking with, and that's the recipe I'm going with today. I'll link that book in the description below for you guys. Alright, you guys, I am checking in on the apple butter, and it's a good spreadable consistency. It's sticking to the spatula pretty well. So I have my last load of applesauce in the canner now, and as soon as that's done, the apple butter can go into jars, and then that all is taken care of. I have my Granny Smith apples peeled, cored, and sliced. So now I'm gonna get a pot on the stove and actually get the pie filling together so we can get all of that canned. So in case you have never heard of apple butter, there is no butter in it. Butter in the title just refers to its spreadable consistency. We're in a PA Dutch area, so apple butter is something that I grew up with. Spread it on toast or biscuits. My mom used to eat it on cottage cheese. You can use it kind of like a condiment. You can spread it on sandwiches with ham or turkey is really good. And you can also use it in place of applesauce for baking if you want more of like a spiced flavor profile. If you haven't tried it, I would totally recommend it. It's nice to have something different on the pantry shelf other than just your typical jams and jellies, especially in the fall months, fall and winter. It just adds a bit more cozy to your meal. The recipe calls for blanching the apples prior to combining them with the gel filling. The blanching process releases the air out of your fruit, which just gives a nicer end product. It prevents your apples from floating, and it also eliminates the enzyme that continues to break down the apples and turns them brown. All right, so I've got all my ingredients in my pot here. I did a double batch of the pie gel filling, and that includes the clear gel, water, unsweetened apple juice, cinnamon, nutmeg, and sugar. So this I am going to bring to a rolling boil, and I believe that is for, let me see here, it just is until it thickens and begins to bubble. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice, return it to a boil for 1 minute, and then I'm gonna remove from the burner and I will add in my apple slices. And then it'll be ready to get in jars. All right, I don't know if you can see here, it has thickened up, it is bubbling. So I am going to add in my lemon juice carefully here and continue to stir for 1 minute, and then I'll remove it from the heat and add in my apples. All right, you guys, as you can tell, I'm looking a little frazzled and tired. It's been a long day. It is about 8 o'clock, and I'm about 90% done. Things just go a lot slower when you have small children that want to help, and that's totally fine. But something that would typically take me like half a day is now 2 days of time, and it's gonna be more than 2 days because I have applesauce, another round going in the roaster, just those apples that were left on the table. It's about half full, so I'll have another can or load or two to do tomorrow morning. It's not gonna be ready yet tonight, so I'm gonna call it quits on the canning tonight. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up. The whole house is a complete disaster when, of course, mommy has a project to do. The kids just kind of run wild and just destroy. It's destroyed. Everything is destroyed. Lots of stuff to clean up. So I'm gonna get to work on that, and I will check back in with you guys in the morning after I have completed everything and go over what we've accomplished. Two days and 2 bushels worth of apples later, I have 32 pints of applesauce, 12 quarts of pie filling, and 9 half pints of apple butter. Convenience in a jar, it's preparedness, it's saved me money, it's good whole food for my family, and a taste of fall goodness that we get to experience all year round. There is something so satisfying about lining up filled jars on the shelf. I know my future self will be thanking me for all of the hard work and hours spent these last few days. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate it. I hope this video inspires you
to go and fill your pantry.